So what you see here is, so in this scatter plot, we are saying the time taken for production versus the order fulfillment time. So both are continuous in nature. So in this, we see there is a linear relationship. You can see as the X increases, the Y is increasing. As the time taken for production increases, the order fulfillment time is increasing. So we can say this is a linear relationship is there, and this is a root cause. We are validating it, the root cause, using the data. So when the data, we are proving that the data taken for production is and order fulfillment time is a real root cause for the problem that we are facing. Again, the time taken for delivery and order fulfillment time, but we are seeing that there is no linear pattern. We can see there is a scattering of data is seen. When the data is seen scattered, we say there is no linear relationship between the X and the Y, the time taken for delivery and the order fulfillment time. There is no linear relationship. So we say that the order fulfillment is not dependent on time taken for delivery because there is no linear relationship. It is more of a scattering of the data. So if I take less time or more time for delivery, the order fulfillment is not dependent on the time taken for delivery. So this is how a scatter plot helps us to understand if that's a real root cause or not. So this is how a scatter plot is used. Similarly, a box plot is used for comparison studies. So we are studying about a box plot when we look into the order fulfillment for descriptive statistics. Box plot is also used for root cause validation when one data is a Y data is continuous in nature, that the order fulfillment time SOP followed, which is a attribute, or we can call it a qualitative data, followed or not followed, there are attributes being used or categories being used. So categorical data, when we have, we use a box plot. So we can see when SOP is followed, we compare the boxes. So the boxes are in different planes or in different regions of the order fulfillment y-axis. There is no overlapping of the y boxes. So box plot, as the name implies, we compare the boxes and the boxes are not overlapping and they are different and distinct. As you're seeing here, we say that order fulfillment depends on SOP followed, because you can see when SOP is followed, the order fulfillment is less compared to when SOP is not followed. So we're validating with data and seeing that whatever root cause we identified, SOP followed is a critical factor, because if you're following the SOP, then order fulfillment is taking lesser time. So this is how do we compare a box plot. But when we see months and order fulfillment, all the boxes are seeing mostly in one region. There is some overlapping of the Y region or the order fulfillment time, and we see there is some overlapping that we are seeing. So it is mostly seen in, there are some overlapping of Y region or some common regions are seen for those boxes. When common regions of Y is seen for the boxes, we say that the order fulfillment do not depend on months. That is how the comparison studies are done. So here, this is how box plot is compared, where we look into the boxes and compare those boxes. So just to show you how those box plot comparisons are done, more details we'll be studying in the, when we look into green belt, we'll be teaching more details how to do it. So you'll have a hands-on on how to do it, the step by step I'll be teaching. So let us say graph scatter plot. So simple order fulfillment time and time taken for production. So we can see there is a scatter plot is seen, a linear relationship is seen. Similarly, when we look into, I'm taking out order fulfillment time and delivery time, we can see there is a scattering of data is seen in this. So we say there is no linear relationship between the X and the Y. Similarly, we can go to the box plot comparison where we look into box plot. So here with groups are used. So graph variable is order fulfillment time and categorical is SOP followed. So here we get, when SOP is followed, we can see comparing the boxes, we can see the box values 39.61, 41.2 and 42.75, which says that when SOP is followed, 25% of the order fulfillment happens in 39.65 days, 50% procurement happens in 41.2 days, 75% of the procurement happens in 42.75 days. Whereas when SOP was not followed, the Q1 value is 46.6, which says 25% of the procurement, the order fulfillment happens in 46.6 days, 50% of the order fulfillment happen in 47.6 days, and 50.8 days taken for 75% of the order fulfillment. So the values are distinct. So we can say Q1 and median values and Q3 values, when we compare, all are distinct and different. So we say that SOP followed has an impact on order fulfillment. That is a real root cause. When we look into the months, order fulfillment and months, we can see certain regions of So here we can see that, so there are certain common regions of Y for all the boxes. When we see in this order fulfillment, we can see certain common regions of Y can be seen, especially in this region. We can see that, so certain overlapping of Y regions are seen in this. Most of the boxes are having some overlapping in these regions. So this is where, when overlapping of Y regions are there, we say that the order fulfillment do not depend upon one. So there are certain common regions in the box plots. We can see that. So then it is not distinct and it is not different. Then we say there is the order fulfillment is not dependent upon the months. So that is how the comparison studies are done, and we validate those root causes. So that is how the box plot and the scatter plot help us to validate the root causes. So that complete